The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, good morning everyone. It's 9 o'clock and it's time to start our webinar. Today we are going to talk about backup, about simple backup of complex infrastructure, and I'm going to show you some example implementation of Xopero at customers' infrastructure. So basically today's agenda is as follows. At the beginning, I would like to talk a few words about Xopero software. Then we will be talking about numbers. I will share with you some statistics about data loss. And after that, we will go to our case study in which I'm going to show you the example implementation of our solution at customers' infrastructure. The whole webinar will last for 45 up to 16 minutes. So let's go on with the webinar. Few words about me and about my company. I'm Grzegorz Bąk, but just call me Greg. It will be much easier to you to pronounce my name. I'm pre-sales engineer in Xopero software since last year, but in company I'm almost 8 years. Below you can find my contact details, so if you will have any questions, feel free to contact me directly. About my company, Xopero Software, the company has been established in 2009 in Gorzów Wielkopolski city in Poland. Now we've started as a cloud backup provider, but let's imagine the internet speed in 2009 and people also didn't trust to cloud solutions, so it was very difficult to start with such services. But we make some smaller or bigger successes. It lets us to start cooperation with some bigger brands. After that, based on our experience and solution which we had, we decided also to create some solutions to local backup. And nowadays our team consists of more than 30 people, and our solutions are available in over 26 countries. So basically, we can say that we are monitoring over 100,000 of devices and securing almost 15 petabytes of data in 26 countries. Of course, we are not Microsoft. We do not provide any telemetry or we do not get any anonymous data. So if we need any information about our solution or how our customers are using our application, we are asking them about it. Last year, we sent customer satisfaction survey to check what customer find out about Xopero application. Most of our customer thought that our application is easy to use and has quick and easy deployment. What is true, because we are going to make our application as easy as it's possible. And of course, also our customers saw great relation between price and functionality of the application. And if we are talking about our customers, I have to mention at least about those two big telcos company who sold out our solution to their customers on Czech and Slovak market. Here is also Avis, big car rental company. Of course, we are also securing some public sector in Guatemala. It will be National Court of Guatemala, for example. And of course, since last year, exactly 1 year ago, we have been invited to be a part of ESET Technology Alliance. And since this time, we are able to reach out to each ESET distribution. So this is a great chance to us to reach the market that has been unavailable to us. And of course, to ESET is also a great chance to fill out the offer in each distribution by another security solution, which is solution to data backup. I forgot to mention, but if you will have any question, you can use the question panel, which is available in GoToWebinar platform. So feel free to ask any question about the webinar or about our solutions, and I will do my best to answer them. So let's take a look at statistics, because as we know, numbers don't lie. So the first statistic told us that 35 of users lost some data each year. Ask yourself, did you ever lose your data? I'm quite sure that about half of you answered yes. I'm also in this group who lost the data. We know also that 50% of hard drives die within 5 years. So it's not so long time. And the next question to you, which you have to ask yourself, how old is hard drive in your computer? Is it going to die? We don't have any software which can inform us that your hard drive is going to die in just few minutes, few hours, or few seconds. We can monitor some smart statistics, but they will provide only some information about our hard drive condition. But very often hard drive dies immediately. We know also that 44% of data loss is caused by mistaken deletion, OS crash, or software corruption. There is no software which may secure you against, for example, mistakes, against software corruption, because it's impossible to save you against, for example, mistaken deletion. So you need the software which allows you to recover the data, even if you will delete them by mistakes. And another statistics about human errors, we know that 58% of servers downtime is caused by a human error. So basically, there is no software which may help us to fight against human errors, and we are only humans, and we will do mistakes always. So, as I mentioned, against those threats may help us a backup solution, because thanks to it, even if we will lose some data in a result of operating system crash, or maybe in a result of some Windows updates, as history show it, we need a good backup solution. And right now, I would like to tell you something about products that are available in our offer. So the first and the oldest one product in our offer is Xopero Cloud. Of course, we are still working and deploying this product. Basically, this is a cloud backup solution which allows you to save all your data directly in our cloud. For European market, the cloud is located in Poland. For American market, the cloud is located in the United States, in Washington exactly. The Xopero Cloud product is a very good solution to customer who doesn't need to store so many data. It doesn't require any additional hardware, so just install the application on computers which you need to protect and start backupping your data. What's important in this solution, it's also centrally managed. So basically, from one application, you can manage all your backups or even remotely restore the data. In case of Xopero Cloud licenses, most of licenses in this product allows you to secure unlimited number of users and devices, and the only limitation is the storage for the data. Another one, the second one solution, is Xopero QNAP appliance. Thanks to this solution, a QNAP NAS may become a real backup appliance, what means that the server, the NAS, will be for us, for Xopero, will be a backup server as well as storage. So you don't need any additional hardware, any additional storage in order to start protecting your data. Everything what you need is Xopero QNAP appliance and a QNAP NAS. This is very easy and simple in use solution, and very easy to install and deploy at customer infrastructure. Of course, this solution is dedicated to local backup. So basically, you can back up all your data across your company to this one simple NAS. And today we will be talking about this one solution, about Xopero QNAP appliance. The last one solution in our offer, which today brings the same features as Xopero QNAP appliance, is Xopero Backup and Restore. The main advantage of this solution is the fact that this one solution is hardware independent. What means that you can install a backup server on any machine with Windows x64 operating system and connect any storage to this machine, and thanks to this combination you can start easily protecting the data. Basically, each our solution based on the same architecture provides you the same services on a backup server and almost the same agent applications. And now let's take a look at our example company. This is example of real implementation of Xopero at customer's infrastructure. So this will be true story. We've got customer with basically few different locations. The first one location is headquarter offices. The second one location is a customer factory, because everything what we are talking about is in the same company. And in the same company, there are also some mobile employees. All locations are connected over VPN by VPN connection, but we know that customer doesn't want to load VPN connection to match during his working hours. And moreover, the customer told us that he doesn't want to store the data in cloud. So we cannot use Xopero Cloud here, and we have to focus on one of our local solution. Basically, if customer hasn't any backup server which can we use for Xopero Backup and Restore, and is going to buy some new hardware for backup reasons, we decided to use here Xopero QNAP appliance solution, because customer must buy QNAPs, which is, I think, cheaper option than buying standalone servers and an additional storage. So we decided to deploy some QNAP NAS. But before, let's take a closer look to the resources which we need to back up from those locations. So basically, in the headquarter office, we've got single Hyper-V host with 2 virtual machines inside. The first one is working under Windows Server 2012 R2 operating system, and it's provide Microsoft Exchange, so it's provide mailbox services to end users. The second one, virtual machine, is working under Ubuntu operating system with some RCP system, which based on PostgreSQL database. In headquarters, we've got also marketing department. This marketing department is working with 20 endpoint devices, which based on Windows 10. There is also one VMware ESX host with 3 virtual machines inside with specialized operating system and applications. So basically, those virtual machines are working on some kind of embedded operating system. Then we've got sales department. There are another endpoint devices with Windows 10 installed, but in addition, there is also one Hyper-V host. On this host, there are 2 basically the same virtual machines on Windows Server 2012 R2 with CRM system and Microsoft SQL database. And the management in our company is working with 8 endpoint devices with Windows 10 installed, but there are sensitive and confidential data on those computers. In factory, basically factory has 2 departments. The first one is production planning, and here we've got only 5 endpoint devices with Windows 10 installed. And on production department, there are 5 Windows Server 2016 machines with Microsoft SQL database and with some important key production data. And of course, there are also 30 Debian machines with some databases. Those databases has been created on customer demand. So basically, there are file-based databases, but customer has own scripts in order to do the backup of this database. Those scripts has been basically prepared by the company which creates this database. And as I mentioned, we've got also few mobile employees who has computers with Windows 10 installed. On those computers, they've got some sales documentation, such offers, price list, or also invoices. They are very rare appear in the headquarters, and they are VPN connection with the office. So basically, we can take a look at live demo, and during this live demo, I'm going to show you how we can protect the customer infrastructure. But before we start, we can go back to our company just to say you where and what we are going to install. So basically, as we know, each location is connected over VPN, so it's not a problem, for example, to do a backup from a factory to QNAP NAS, which will be placed in the headquarters. But we know also that clients don't want to overload VPN connection to match during working hours, but in factory there are also some imported resources which should be backed up almost every day, almost every 15 minutes, or almost every half an hour. So we decided to put two different QNAP NAS at customer infrastructure. One is placed in headquarter office in order to back up all devices from headquarter, and also in order to back up mobile employees. And another one NAS is placed in factory in order to protect the data from a factory. So basically, after working hours, both NASes are also replicated their data. So thanks to it, even in a NAS in a factory will fail, still we will be able to recover the data, for example, from headquarters. And in another way, if NAS in headquarters will fail, still your data will be available in factory. Okay, so let's take a look closer at headquarters office. The first host which we have to protect is Hyper-V machine with two different virtual machines inside. Basically, in Xopero, you can back up virtual machines in two ways, from inside and from outside. If we are talking about backup from outside the machine, we are taking a look at the machine from hypervisor level. So basically, Xopero will do backup of virtual machine hard drive and its configuration files. But from inside, if you are talking about backup from inside, you can install Xopero inside the virtual machine operating system. And thanks to it, you can treat this machine as a physical one. In this case, in case of this Hyper-V host, we did it in both ways, because both machines are baked up from outside, but in addition, on this Windows server, we've configured backup from the inside. And now, for example, I would like to show you how to create the backup of this one Hyper-V host. Basically, we can go onto the devices, and here is the list of all devices assigned. At the beginning, we have to create some groups and some users. So, for example, for my headquarters, I can create the first one group, which will be headquarters office, and for this group we can also define some password. Because the group in our system is also additional admin account. So basically, HQ Office will be also the account which can log into the Management Center application and which will be able to manage basically all users that will be assigned to his account. Each admin can also receive daily reports, which is an email report which contains a set of information about backups done within the last 24 hours. So let me add group, and now my group HQ office has been created. Meanwhile, I get simple question: can we have this presentation? Yes, of course. Later we will share with you the recording and the presentation also. And then another one question, I will answer this question a little bit later. Now let's focus on this Hyper-V host. So in headquarter office, we have to create one more user. The user is some kind of logical container to which you can assign devices, and basically it depends only on your needs how you will treat the user, because user may represent one physical person who's working with our software, but user may also represent, for example, some office or something like that in your company, some office or some department. So for me, the first one user will be my Hyper-V. Let's define the password for this user. I don't want to define email address for this user. This user will be working with default encryption key. You have to know that each backup in our application is encrypted with AES algorithm with 256 qubit length. And here, as the administrator who's creating the user account, you can select what kind of encryption key will be used in order to encrypt your backup. It could be default encryption key, which is the easiest in use because this key is unknown to the user. So basically, as user or as admin, you don't have to do anything with this key. This key is stored in the database on a backup server after create. Another one is custom encryption key. This encryption key is created based on password phrase, which you can provide here. And in Xopero, the key and the password phrase is not stored. So basically, you have to keep careful your password phrase, because in other case, you will be not able to recover your data. Then you have to choose between one of those two account types. It's strongly connected with our licensing system between, of course, I would like to define, but let's stay with default. It's strongly connected with our licensing system. I don't want to explain it right now, but basically we have to focus right now on Hyper-V licenses, because here is possibility to backup of Hyper-V. So just create. And here we've got my Hyper-V. I forgot to assign this user to headquarter office group. So let's use the change group option, headquarter office. And right now, my main Hyper-V is located in headquarter office. I've got one more question, but I don't understand this question. Is there something we can use for deployment process to HHE user? I don't know what you mean. Can you explain? And meanwhile, I will continue. So basically, yes, you can use, for example, our software in order to deploy it at user infrastructure, for example. So basically, I still don't understand the question. And if we are talking, let me back to the management center. And if we are talking about this Hyper-V, right now we need to install the application directly on our hypervisor, and then we will be able easily to configure the backup of my virtual machines from outside the machine by configuring the Hyper-V machine. Basically, if it will be my real Hyper-V machine, here I should get the list of all virtual machines, and I have just to check those two virtual machines in order to backup, and then I have to check in which state the virtual machine should be during the backup process. Okay, another device which should be assigned. How to assign the device to the user? It's very easy. Just install the agent application on the end user computer and then choose the assign device option. Here is the list of all devices that has been not assigned yet to any user, but they are waiting for assignment. And another agent which should be assigned to this main Hyper-V is Windows Server 2002 with Microsoft Exchange. So basically, what we have to do now is to install the agent directly on this Windows Server virtual machine, and on this virtual machine, on this agent, we will set up two different backups, because first one backup will be backup of Microsoft Exchange. Basically, here I'm not able to do backup of Microsoft Exchange because I'm working on the endpoint device, not on the server device, and only servers are available to have installed the Microsoft Exchange. So that's why this option here is not available. If you are talking about Exchange, Xopero is able to support Microsoft Exchange since 2007 up to the current one. Basically, we can do backup of entire Exchange database or single user mailbox. Everything depends on Exchange version. And the restore process looks almost the same. What's important, in this way, we can also restore the Exchange directly, the Exchange database or mailbox directly to the server, so we don't need to use any additional tools, for example. And the second one, backup, because on this Ubuntu machine is working PostgreSQL database, but from Linux operating system, we support only backup on the file level. So if we need to do the backup of PostgreSQL, we can define this backup on the agent, which is working on this Windows Server machine. So let me choose PostgreSQL, and here we've got the list. Here we've got the form with detailed information about connection to our database server. So we have to provide address of our Ubuntu machine. Here we can provide or specify the port, the user, and the password to the database server. From drop-down list, then we can choose the database which we need to backup and the schema which we would like. Of course, if we will not choose any schema, all schemas will be added to our backup. I've got one more question about deployment process. I mean, push deployment to the user, or how to do it if client have 300 users. So basically, about the users, you have to create them manually, or you can map them from Active Directory, because it's possible to integrate our solution with Active Directory. But if you mean about pushing the agent on customer's infrastructure, you can use Active Directory built-in mechanisms such as GPO, group policy objects, or SCCM. And in this way, you can deploy our agents. We bring our installer in both version, exe or MSE. So thanks to it, it will be much easier to deploy it over Active Directory features. What else I can say? We've added some switches to MSE installer, which become available with next release. Those switches allows you to provide to deploy the agent with server address, username, and its password. So basically, you will not have to assign the device to the user, because it will be done automatically on the installation process. Okay, so right now we've got protected our Hyper-V host. Then we have to take a look at our marketing department. There are 20 endpoint devices with Windows 10 pre-installed. Basically, I don't want to focus on the agent installation, but you have to know that we've got some different agent application in our solution. And let me show you. Let's go to the download center, and here we've got 3 different agent applications. The first one, the basic agent, contains application and the service. Service is responsible for performing backup and restore process, and application and I get one more information, that we can push Xopero agent through Asset Security Management Console very easily. To be honest, I didn't check it, but I will have to if you told me that we can do it very easy. So we will test it, and probably it will be also described in our knowledge base. So thank you so much for this information. And let me back to the Windows agent. So basically, the service is responsible for backup and restore process, and the application which comes with this agent brings you only graphical user interface. The Windows agent without graphical user interface is only the service. So basically, it's only centrally and remotely managed, and the user is not able to do anything with this agent. Of course, we've got also one special agent dedicated for integration with Active Directory, but in this case, we are not talking about Active Directory. And here is the command line agent, which is able to be run on each operating system which support Java. Okay, let me back to our marketing department. So right now we have to protect almost 20 endpoint devices with Windows 10 pre-installed. So I will have to create one more user account in the Management Center application, which is here. So in our headquarter office group, we have to add one more user. This user will be endpoint. I will name it as Marketing Department. Now let's provide some basic information. The password still with default encryption key, and account type in this case will be endpoint. On those devices in Marketing Department, our customer decide to install the no GUI agent, the agent without graphical user interface. So everything will be only managed by the administrator, and user will be not able to do anything. So let me back to my host in order to show you how we can back up those endpoint devices from Marketing Department, because there are not too many important information in this Marketing Department. So basically we will focus on two-factor security. I hope that you remember one of my previous webinars during which I was talking about two-factor security. So the first factor for this one device, for devices in our Marketing Department, will be a file level backup. For example, the backup set will be named as graphics, and of course we can provide the path to the data which we need to backup. We can do it in 4 ways. We can provide the path manually. We can choose one of the predefined paths, as for example documents. I do not recommend, and basically you shouldn't back up entire partition on the file level as I did here, so I will delete this path. You shouldn't do it because this backup will be not so efficient, and you will get a lot of useless files in your backup repository, such as, for example, Windows operating files, which we will be not able to use in any way, basically. But you can choose the path directly from the device on which the agent is working on. Just click on Choose, connect remotely to our device, and choose the path. And the last one, it's possible also to choose the environment variable, which stores also some paths which can be used for backup reason. Basically, this is good for Active Directory environments, because in Active Directory environments, you can set up the environment variable for a group of devices and easily manage the content of this variable by adding or removing some paths from your backup. Of course, we have to schedule how often we need to do this backup. I think that in this case, enough will be to do the backup every 1 hour. We don't need to include or exclude any files, and the advanced options, let's stay without any chance. Just click Save, and the second level of the security, the second factor, will be HDD image. This is the block level backup. So basically, we treat hard drive block by block. We are skipping also the blocks that are marked as empty in the file system. In case of bare metal backup, which gives us the most possibilities, and we are also getting information about hard drive structure, about boot sectors, about operating system, and about drivers that are already installed in the operating system. In order to set up this one backup, which I will name as system, you have to choose the entire hard drive. You are able also to exclude some partitions from this drive if you don't need to back up them. And of course, do not forget to schedule. I think that one a month, it will be enough to back up my HDD image. Why only one a month? Because all my important data are covered by previous backup set of local data. So right now I'm using the HDD image only in order to protect my application and Windows operating system. So even if my operating system is updated twice a month, if I will lose one update, basically nothing happens. I will install it once again after system will be recovered. So just click Save. In case of operating system since Windows 8, we will get the warning about fast startup feature. So it's recommended to disable this feature only for backup reasons because this feature based on the hibernation, and that's why it's not recommended, because as you should know, once computer is awaking from hibernation, it loads all information to memory directly from file, and in this file there are also information about drivers. So basically, if you will not disable this feature, you may be not able to recover your system on physically different machine or to boot it up as virtual one. Okay, let's go over the webinar because time is going. Here we have to protect one VMware ESX host with 3 virtual machines inside. This is some kind of embedded operating system, so we have to treat that we are not able to install the agent in this operating system, and the only way to do the VMware backup is to backup it from outside. This kind of backup is quite easy to configure, but maybe it's not so efficient, because we require a proxy machine. This is the machine on which our agent is working on. So basically we will have to for example, provide some information about username and password to our VMware server, and then I will get the drop-down list of machines that are already working on this VMware server. Basically, as I mentioned, we do require a proxy machine. On this machine, all files of the virtual machine will be copied out before backup. And then on the proxy machine, those data will be encrypted, compressed, and after that they will be transmitted to the backup server. That's why you have to define also temporary directory on this machine. So in this way, we have focused the marketing department. The sales department will be covered in almost the same way, but we've got here also in addition Microsoft SQL database. So now I will show you only how to protect in addition Microsoft SQL database. Of course, for sales department, we will have also to create one more user account in our headquarter office. But in order to create the Microsoft SQL database, I will show it on another user, because here I've got prepared server with Microsoft SQL pre-installed. So basically we can focus even on this example because we've got the same operating system. Here is Windows Server 2012 or 2, sorry, with some kind of CRM and Microsoft SQL the database. So in the first level of the server, we have to protect the Microsoft SQL database. This is the CRM database. Here is the server name. We have to choose the authentication and the password. After that, if I will provide all information properly, I should receive the drop-down list of all databases available on my server. I can also check all databases checkbox. So thanks to it, all already available and added in future databases will be included into our backup. Then you have to choose the backup type. This is the way in which database server will prepare the database dump. It can be every time full, and basically I recommend you to use every time full backup type because thanks to it, you will be sure that your database is dropped down properly, and every backup our application will calculate the difference on dump file level We can do backup also, we can do also the dump in differential way, but in this case you have to remember that if there is any other software which also do backup of your database, it may be required to recover the data from Xopero and from this one third-party solution. And of course you can also do backup of transaction log. And here you have to define the temporary directory, which is the directory to which we will do the database dump. And the second factor, HDD image. In this case, let's go on to the bare metal. Let's choose the entire hard drive, but on the D drive there is only the database and its files, which are protected by Microsoft SQL Database Backup, so I can exclude this partition without any problems. And let's name our backup as CRM system. So on this device right now, let's take a closer look. This is the backup of virtual machine from inside. Here we've got two different backup sets defined. This is the Microsoft SQL backup defined and entire HDD image. In case if this server will fail, I'm able easily to recover only the database and start it, for example, in another database server, or I can recover my CRM system as virtual machine, which will be working directly on a backup server, and I can import the Microsoft SQL database into this one virtual machine. So thanks to it, our sales department also will be covered. And in case of management, there are 8 endpoint devices with Windows 10 installed. If we are talking about sensitive and confidential data, we should think about custom encryption key, because even if someone will steal your hard drives from your backup server, he will still be not able to access your data without knowledge of custom encryption key. And just only to remind you, this encryption key is not stored in the database on a backup server. In factory, basically the situation is also very simple. There are 5 endpoint devices with Windows 10 installed. Of course, we are talking about another QNAP NAS, which is placed directly in factory. And here we are talking about 5 endpoint devices with Windows 10 installed. So basically, we are creating one user account, installing the agent on those 5 endpoints, and that's all. In case of backup production, I think that now you know that it will be quite easy. We can create one user, which will be the name production, install the agent of all 5 Windows servers. I show you how to set up backup of Microsoft SQL database, and key production data also may be covered basically by HDD image. In case of Debian operating system, as I mentioned, there is a database which has been created on customer demand. So basically, customers have some scripts in order to perform the database dump. So in this case, on Debian, we can run our command line interface application, and thanks to it, we are able easily to do backup of those database dumps. And mobile employees, if we are talking about mobile employees, if they are connected over VPN, it's quite easy to configure their backup policies and to help them performing backup. If there will be no VPN connection, it's also still possible to make backup of mobile employees, but you will need public IP address and open port 4555, which is used for HTTPS traffic in our solution. And thanks to this one port, which should be also redirected to your backup server, Xopero will be able to do the backup. So configuration of just mobile employees. For mobile employees, I recommend you to use the agent with graphical user interface, because in case of any problems with connection, it will be much easier to log in from the agent application than, for example, to trying to connect to it over the management center. But if you are giving the user application with graphical user interface, you can set up for him some permissions. So for example, you can allow or deny user to manage backup sets. So user will be able to create, edit, and remove backup policies. Allow to restore data. Basically, this is permission to manage entire user backup repository, because user will be able to restore the data as well as to remove them from the repository. We can allow user also to manage encryption key. Basically, there is not too much to manage with your encryption key because you can only change it. And if you will do it, all your data from backup will become unrecoverable. So I recommend to deny this permission to the user. And of course, we can also allow user to manage some performance settings in the application. And live demo we had, so let's summarize. If we are talking about recovery and data access, we can do file level and image level backup. We can backup data from a lot of different applications and databases online while still you are using them. It's also possible to recover almost anything what you backup, from a single file to entire system or a whole device or even virtual machine. For business continuity, you can launch a virtual machine which will be based on your backup, or bought a backup image into virtual machine. You don't need to restore the data, the HDD image, if you would like to bought the device. And you can create some kind of temporary virtual machine if your device will fail. For device migration, for example, you can create a replica of the whole device and move it to the new one. So this is a feature which is called Smart Independent Restore, and this feature allows you to recover your HDD image on a physically different machine. And about backup policy management, basically everything in Xopero solution can be managed directly and remotely from simple console, which is named Management Center, and which I show you today. So the Q&A, because I see that there are some more questions. There is question about presentation. Of course, as I mentioned at the beginning, I will share with all of you the presentation and the recording. There is one more question about mobile protection. At this moment, mobile protection is available only to Xopero Cloud solution, which is for European region. Due to some export law in the States, at this moment, we are not able to provide for the second region the mobile devices, because I think that by mobile protection, you mean mobile devices. So do you have maybe any more questions to me? I will wait about 1 minute for your questions, so if you will have any, feel free to ask them. Emmanuel wrote that he tried restoring image using the partition backup that generates VHDX, but it failed when using Windows 10 disk. Does this solution work? Yes, this solution does work, but first of all, Emmanuel, this is not the place for support, and I saw that you create the ticket in our support system. And the second one, if you are creating the VHD or VHDX backup, Xopero allows you only to recover the VHD or VHDX file. And then what you do with this file, it's only your own need and possibility. So basically, in order to restore the operating system based on VHD or VHDX backup, you have to use the Windows tools. If you would like to protect entire HDD image, you have to create and recover it with our tools. You have to create HDD image backup. And based on this backup, you can use Xopero tools in order to restore your data. So I see that there is no more questions, and I think that's all. So Thank you very much for your patience, for your time, and for taking part in today's webinar. I hope it provides you some more information about data protection and about how Xopero can protect your data. Of course, if you will have still any questions, feel free to ask them over email or directly by phone. One more time, thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye.